Still watching the program The Promise on AKBC Channel 45, the program of the people, by the people, and for the people. My name is Edoma, the son of Jonah, your humble friend on the airwaves, anytime, any day. On today's edition of the program, I'm playing host to a proud son of the Kono local government area, a one-time commissioner in Akwa Ibom State. He's a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. Currently, he's the state legal advisor of PDP, one man who knows the law, where to find the law, and how to apply the law. Barrister Godwill Umoh, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Edoma. It's my pleasure.
Welcome. Yes, as the state legal advisor of the party, it will be unfair if I start this interview without him congratulating you on the victory of your party. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, before the tribunals and even before the elections, there were insinuations by the opposition party that His Excellency the Governor would not win the elections. But to the glory of God, His Excellency the Governor and all other PDP aspirants won the election. What do you make out of that?
Well, Edoma, you see, just like you said, people made a lot of insinuations about the election. We all know that's part of the politicking and politicizing. In 2015, we had a similar scenario where people would think the other party or parties believed that they could get it, but whereas at the end of the election, it was Udomi Emmanuel. The truth must be told. PDP has always been part of Akwa Ibom State, and Akwa Ibom State has always been part of PDP. And sincerely speaking, there is no way APC would have won that election. In terms of comparative advantage, in terms of preparation, PDP was more in tune with campaigns. If you remember, incidentally, I was the champion, the coordinator of Udomi Emmanuel's campaigns in the Kono local government area. So I can tell you the level of preparation. In politics, it's not about talking too much, it's about doing it. And I think PDP was doing it better in terms of preparation, in terms of funding, in terms of analysis of the situations on hand. PDP had a better hand. So I wasn't actually surprised that we won in that manner.
Okay, sir. During the primaries election in PDP, there were some fracas, there were some grievances. Now, after the primaries, the governor had inaugurated a 9-man
integration committee.
Of which you were the
yes, that was the second.
So what was the response like? Have they been integrated?
Yes, Edoma, let me tell you, His Excellency Udom is a genius. A lot of people underrated him. He set up that committee headed by former deputy governor. It worked like magic. We called the people right from the villages. You know, the way we did, we drew a small timetable where we invited and we're meeting the people one-on-one. Can you notice, for the first time in the history of politicking, this is the very first time we never had any pre-election matter. I don't know if it strikes anybody. For the first time, we never had any pre-election matter. Because that integration committee, there were a lot of people, one or two people who attempted to file some of the pre-election matters in either the Federal High Court. That committee intervened, and none of them withdrew their matter. That was the whole idea. What is integration? We needed to tell the people, look, yes, politicking, campaign, nomination, and so on, somebody may have been hurt, which is a natural tendency. But come back, this is our home. You discover that notwithstanding a few people who decamped from PDP to APC, we got it right. That is the truth of the matter. And you discover that that committee got to the root. We interviewed, we invited stakeholders, some voters, some very little people who to us were very important in politics. We invited them, they came. All of them, they came and they were very happy. If you look at the tape, you discover that there was a lot of satisfaction. And perhaps, like I said, that explains why we didn't have pre-election matters. Because those are the big distractions for any political party that is preparing for an election. When you have too many pre-election matters, there is element of dissatisfaction. That's what it means. But for the first time, it was clear that people saw in Udomi Emmanuel a clear picture of somebody that is always ready and willing to call people to order. to intervene, to integrate.
So they had to embrace the integration.
Yes, it worked well.
Okay.
And I've given you the indices.
Away from the primaries, we had the 2019 general elections in Nigeria, and particularly Akwa Ibom State. After the elections, the opposition party had challenged the results of the elections, which brought Governor Udoh Emmanuel as governor of Akwa Ibom State for the second term. So they challenged the results that the elections was not free and fair. So, as the state legal advisor of the party, what do you say to that?
Yeah, well, it's good you've raised this issue. And incidentally, like I told you earlier, if you notice me, I don't like talking about election matters, especially when the matters are in court. I'm a court professional.
Okay.
36 cases, 36 were filed. APC filed 36 cases in Akwa Ibom State. But if you add the governorship, that makes 37.
37.
And we won all. I mean,
exception of Isienudem.
Well, Isienudem, we were the petitioner.
Okay.
So I didn't want to include it at this level.
Okay.
I'm talking about the ones they took us to court. 37 cases were filed against us as a party, against us as candidates. They lost all, and I say all, I think it's unprecedented. For the first time in the history, I've been in charge of election matters since 2003. I had even sat in the election tribunal as far back as 1991. So I can tell you the story of election petitions in Akwa Ibom. There is no time since 2003, mark my words, since 2003, that I haven't been involved in all the elections petition matters. So when I tell you that for the first time, that was the largest we had in Akwa Ibom. In 2015, we had 19. We had about 19 cases at the election tribunal. But for this time, it was quite unprecedented. Maybe because they thought what took place during the elections were faulty. And I tell you, like I said, 37 if you add the governorship. The other ones were National Assembly, State Houses of Assembly, and the governorship. They came with their story. And you don't blame them, because for me, there's a lot of jurisprudential issues about people going to court. There's what I call doctrine of cooling down. When people lost election, the best way for them to ventilate is to go to the tribunal. That is the legal way to do it. And I thank them for going to court. For many reasons. The law, jurisprudence of electioneering and election petitions, we keep on improving every day.
As the legal advisor of the party, were you not intimidated when all these matters were taken?
Well, I have done them before, like I told you. In 2015, I was involved in the 15 cases at the tribunal. Then about 10 of them went on appeal, and I was also involved. So this time around, my law office, I personally did, out of the 36, I'm telling you, I personally did 21 of those cases. And we all succeeded in all. So they didn't have a good case, that's the truth. You see, elections are conducted at the unit. That is the law. Elections are conducted in a unit. So when you are going to the tribunal and you are talking about collation, which is done at the ward, forgetting that elections are conducted in the unit, that is your first failure. And that's how they failed. It's a usual attempt to blackmail. It's part of the problem we have in our judicial system. Anybody who loses a case would think that that tribunal or that court was biased.
So how about the Isienudem constituency?
Well, the Isienudem, we went on the PDP. No, already we had filed our notice of appeal, because my position is simple. The tribunal held that the petition that was brought was incompetent, and that the court had no jurisdiction. And the law is very clear. The moment a court says, I do not have jurisdiction, that is the end of it. So having said that they do not have jurisdiction, that could have been the end of the case. So for them to proceed further, to make a declaration like it did, in my very humble opinion, that was an illegal order for me. So that is the basis of our proceedings.
So how about the governorship petitions? Does the opposition party has right in law to appeal?
Oh, sure. The appeal,
considering the fact that the case is being struck.
You see, the appeal does not, the governorship does not stop even at the Court of Appeal. They have a right of appeal up to the Supreme
Supreme
Court.
Court,
That is the only case that has a right to go to the Supreme Court.
Mm.
So I want to believe, I can tell you, the moment they lose at the Court of Appeal, I'm sure they will proceed to the Supreme Court like they did in 2015. When you bring witnesses and the court is evaluating those witnesses, you know what that tribunal did? It was not based on technicality. It was based on law. You are not bringing somebody to say that there was no election, but your totality of your evidence, other ways, will say that there was election. How do you reconcile that?
And even they themselves, they voted.
In fact, almost all their witnesses, the 45 of their witnesses, testified to the fact that there was election. They voted. So when somebody says, I voted, whereas in your claim, what we call petition, in the pleading, you are now saying that there was no election. But you now brought witnesses who come to say there was election. How do you reconcile that? The court cannot pick and choose which evidence to believe. It is a law. That's exactly what happened. And anybody who was in court in that tribunal and listened to the judgment will agree completely with the verdict of the tribunal.
Away from the election matters, away from the victory of the tribunals, we come over to Akwa Ibom State. We are celebrating the 32nd anniversary of Akwa Ibom State, still basking in the euphoria of that celebration. Akwa Ibom State at 32, what are those things that the state has achieved in the last 32 years?
Well, plenty, I can tell you. I was commissioner and I was in charge of the airport.
Yes.
Commissioner for Special Duties in 2008, 2009. You remember when we landed the first aircraft on the 23rd September. I was part of that scenario. And now His Excellency, a few years after, has taken it beyond the ordinary airport, bringing in airline. The things the federal government has been talking about it on newspapers, launching aircraft in the newspaper. But here, Udom Emmanuel is doing it on the airport. So you don't need to be told. You could see it. You could see that at 32, a young man of 32 is good to go. So at 32, anybody, any young man has become a full adult, and he could draw a clear picture. So at 32, Akwa Ibom has gone far, and I think we are doing quite well. That is the truth.
Let's come down to Ikono. You are in the indigenous of Ikono,
Yes.
chieftain of the Ikono local government. What are those things that the present government has done in Ikono local government? And what are those things that you would wish the government to do in Ikono local government?
And quickly, like I said, for the first time, I think since the creation of Akwa Ibom State, we've never had a member of the State Working Committee of the party. The State Legal Advisor is a member of the State Working Committee. You know, we have two categories, the State Working Committee of the party and the State Executive Committee of the party, consisting of every other person. We have 14. So I think luckily, for the first time, yours truly happened to be the lucky one to be there. In 2008, I was Commissioner for Special Duties. Thereafter, I moved to economic development. A few things happened, and thereafter, I finished my tenure. For Ikono, if you go to Ibiakuntogopo, there's a general hospital, which was built in about 1988, by Dr. now Professor Ekan. That hospital is today one of the finest, one of the most computerized hospitals in Akwa Ibom State. And I'm told he can compete favorably with any hospital outside, and that is what Udom Emmanuel has done. That hospital was virtually a ghost area, But today he had opened up the hospital. It can be run as one of the hospitals there. Then, secondly, there is a school which we are clamoring to be made to be converted to a full polytechnic. His Excellency, in his sheer magnanimity, had opened up that place and did, I think it's about 2.8 kilometers of road to link that place. That road was abandoned many years ago by certain apparatus of the NDTC. But today His Excellency took it up and opened up. The only thing, like you said, the only thing that we are lacking in Ikono, like I said and I say it, and His Excellency is about to address it.
Okay.
There's no way Ikono, as the cradle of Ibibio land, would not be part of the State Executive Council of Akwa Ibom State.
Okay.
And we've spoken and we've had assurance that His Excellency, in due time, will need to address that issue.
Okay.
I think Ikono, we are comfortable, we are happy, and we remain loyal to His Excellency.
Okay. Wouldn't you send the olive branch to the opposition party? Now they've lost in the tribunal, that they should come together and work together with His Excellency to see how they drive the wheels of development in Akwa Ibom State?
I agree completely. The governor said that, I think on too many occasions, I've heard him say that there are two categories: politics, election, and governance. We finish politics, we finish elections. Today, we should be talking about governance. And I think His Excellency, in his sheer magnanimity, I'd love to see that somebody who is in APC, who has an idea, should be brought to come and save one or two things or the other in the government. But I know the governor has spoken to the opposition that Akwa Ibom State is a state, one of the smallest states, but one of the states that has a lot of prospect, a lot of prospect in the polity of Nigeria. And we cannot do it alone. We must do it together.
I understand that you are a lecturer in Faculty of Law, University of you've been there for all of 30-something years now, if I'm not thinking wrongly. Now, how do you feel when you go to court and see your students, those you taught in school?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest joy. Sometimes you go to court, out of 15 lawyers that are in court,
as students you taught,
13 or even 14 were your students. And it gives me, that's the joy. It's like a father who had produced some children. That's exactly what happens.
Like Father Abraham in the Bible.
Yes, so it gives us joy to discover that even the senior advocate of Nigeria, some of them who came here, were my students. They were my product. So you are full of joy to see them, and they are doing quite well. I personally had gone. It was in the then Cross River State. It was called Unicross. I had cause to go soliciting, asking lawyers to come and teach so that faculty would grow. So it wasn't easy. So you needed people who are committed, people who wanted the growth of law in Akwa Ibom State. And I thank God today, I can look back and say, yes, whatever is the case, even if I leave, I say, look, I had done enough for the growth of law and the faculty. That's the truth.
Okay, sir, let's come back to the party of which you are the state legal advisor. How is the party like? Any fracas, any...
Well, you discover that apart from a synodom, of course, you know the historical antecedent, not one party at the state, nor one member of the state executive party decamped. We didn't lose anyone. 31 over 31. There was a lot of rumor going round. But the mere fact that not one member of the state committee or executive committee of the party decamped, it shows you the strength, commitment, and the loyalty of the party. And that's exactly what party politics is all about. I have cared to tell people that in England, in Europe generally, a lot of people prefer to stay in the party than to go to the government. They make more career, livelihood in the party than even joining the government. So it's always been my sincere approach that we could get to that level where people have a career in the politics, in the political party. Serious machinery, completely, sometimes even more reliable than going into government. More money paid and so on. That's what is happening in most places in Europe. So I wish, that's my dream. I wish I had opportunity to serve more. That should be the thing I would love to encourage the party to do. To make sure that we have a career. Like this election matters. I have cared to tell people that, look, by this time we should have a system, professional, election managers, those who know what to do when elections come. Not this ad hoc thing where we rush into doing politics, where we rush into doing election. And we have a lot of problems at the election tribunals. This is not peculiar to PDP, it's peculiar to the party structure in Nigeria. There is no career in political parties, which should not be the case. There should be a career. People should be appointed and promoted in the party system and they remain there and provide a database for a continuous electioneering. It works like magic, and it's very good in many places.
Okay.
That's my dream.
Okay, okay. And that's your dream. What's the parting shot for the people of Akwa Ibom?
Well, for the people who've come, Udom Emmanuel is doing very well. I salute his courage. I salute his tenacity. And above all, I salute his industry. Not industrialization. I like his industry in the doing of things. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Many thanks for having joined us.
It's my pleasure.
You, sir. Thank you, sir. Barrister Godwill Umoh, once, twice, 3 times a gentleman, 5-star politician, and 7-star statesman. Many thanks for having joined us, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, good people out there, many thanks for having selected to watch today's edition of the program. We wouldn't have been here without you, and you. I'm so beholden to you. If I've forgotten to mention your name, I've left a blank space. Do well to fill in your name. I remain yours truly, Edoma, the son of Jonah. See you same time, same channel next week. Don't you ever forget that God is not late. He only comes later, just to make you the latest. Be good, be cool. Bye-bye.